He is on no team. He was on Cloud 9 for last year, and they did let him go. Probably that limited contract for EWC. And since then, he has not been picked up again. I wonder if he made a tweet. Usually I retweet when they ask for a team, but I haven't seen it from GuMiHo. Maybe he's already in talks with Cloud 9 again or something. Why not, right? If they can't get a better pickup than GuMiHo, which, you know, arguably there are better pickups, there are definitely teams, believe it or not, there were absolutely teams that were hardcore negotiating to try and steal Cyril and Raynor. For sure. Maybe Clem as well, and maybe one or two other pros. But I definitely heard some pretty high figures for these teams that come in only for EWC. They pick up StarCraft players, and they're like, who's guaranteed to win? And a lot of people would have told them Cyril. A lot of people. And I think he was getting some pretty insane offers, but stuck with Basilisk. Anyway, GuMiHo is still a pretty good pickup. GuMiHo is still good to get to GSL. He might win here. I don't think this is do or die. I think this is the winner's match. Let me double check that before the GuMiHo and Maru fans give up on life. This might actually be his only chance. This actually might be do or die. This is either Maru or GuMiHo qualifying. Wow. Okay. How about that? Prepare the Sudoku. Yeah. Hard choice. You could love both these players. Maru, arguably the GOAT. He does have a significant shoulder problem that has kept him even from military service, so that is worth considering. GuMiHo, a trickster, but also, weirdly enough, one of the more dependable anti-Maru Terrans out there. For some reason, that's still a little weird. Even when Maru was a godlike TVTer, and he's still freaking good. He was one of the rare Terrans who could take Maru down in TVT. Just a perfect mixture of his ability, overall ability, his overall skill, with his kind of off timings, off decision making, just different from other Terrans. I don't know, surprised Maru. And then people started to copy GuMiHo and what GuMiHo was doing to try and beat Maru, and it did work for a time. Not arguably, he is the GOAT. No, it's definitely arguable. My money is on Cyril, by the way. But let's not start that discussion again. 3CC is coming up from Maru. So TVT, I haven't cast a TVT in years. Not quite that dramatic, but it's been a while. 3CC is coming down from Maru. This is not common. GuMiHo is doing the most common thing. He is going 2 base 1/1/1. Raven coming out, tanks coming out. You know the drill. Maru slips that 3rd CC in, and as long as something doesn't literally scout his main base, which is quite common in TVT, you do not scout each other's main base. That happens in a lot of games. Maybe you do with the Reaper, of course, in the initial first 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is. It's already 4 minutes. But you don't get it again. So this is more common than you would think. This 3rd CC being gotten and actually getting the reward as well. So what can happen from this point on, right? GuMiHo couldn't stop the 3rd CC. Even if he tried, it would have been very difficult to get a cancel on an in-base 3rd CC. He's going mech, by the way. But what can happen now is that the 3rd CC could stay up there indefinitely. You do sacrifice some amount of army and or technology sometimes to get this 3rd CC. And then the opposing Terran does a very typical tank Raven move out, says, I'm going to try and press your natural. You don't have a lot in your natural. That's kind of weird. What's going on? Oh, you have a 3rd CC. Just kidding. I'm just going to stop you from ever getting a 3rd CC. Oh! I love it, GuMiHo. I love it. Okay, so that was really cute. GuMiHo, first of all, he scanned the main. Terrans are such greedy bastards, they would never do that usually. He scans the main. He saw 2 barracks. Or did he see 2 factories? Hold on, I got it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna replay. I'm gonna use my replay powers. Hold on. If they were barracks, okay. So he sees 2 barracks with a scan. So Maru scans first. Maru's like, okay, you're going mech. All right, you're GuMiHo. That's not exactly surprising. Oh, and then, okay, and then the scan comes down. I thought he scanned twice. I guess I just heard Maru scan. Wow, okay, so that's what happened. I'm glad I double-checked. So, GuMiHo goes mech. Maru scans the mech and goes, I don't want to play bio against that. That sounds like a terrible time. Goes into mech. GuMiHo is like, well, I'm detected, so I need to see what you're doing as well. And he does get the scan, actually, after barracks cancel. So he does see the factory. So I thought he double scanned. I thought he saw the barracks and then thought, oh, maybe Maru canceled them. And then double scan, which would have been so unheard of and like cheeky, I guess. Because there's a chance that he could have seen like just more barracks, right? But no, that wasn't what happened. Maru scans, sees mech, wants to go mech himself. GuMiHo scans, sees mech. We got a good old mech versus mech game. 4th CC is already on the way for Maru, but is also already on the way for GuMiHo on location. He is more confident here. GuMiHo, oh wait, no. Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's his 3rd. Oh my god. That's funny. Okay, so Maru is literally a command center almost 2 up his opponent. That's kind of insane. But he's got to have something missing. He's got 3 CC, lickety split, working on his 4th as GuMiHo works on his 3rd. Maru, what don't you have? He does not have 4 Vikings. He does not have 5 tanks. He's got 0 Vikings and 2 tanks. But he does have double the Raven count. Interference Matrix was researched for Maru as well. That could be big. Missile turrets, turrets come down. Plenty for each of them. And the turrets are still king. An Interference Matrix could have been used. And that would have been effective as well. But auto turrets were the game plan there. Auto turrets, they have high threat. They will get the tanks to target them if they are not in the dead zone. They do high damage as well, so they'll just burst through all that. And the only response is either a surplus of units on your side or your own auto turrets, which you have half of. Maru's Raven plan has worked out quite well. GuMiHo needed that attack to do something, because he is comically behind at this point. 4th CC, down location for Maru. GuMiHo's 4th has to be canceled. SCV is not going to be able to escape. Well, they shouldn't have anyway from the aliens. Not the biggest of problems, I suppose. Good old-fashioned base trade is now the goal. GuMiHo's Vikings wanted to play a bigger part than they did in that last engagement. They were supposed to find the Ravens and bully them back away from ever planting those turrets down. And Maru blitzed. Ravens are better at blitzing. Vikings are better at long, sustained battles. Maru's speed works out, and there is no defense for GuMiHo back at home. These are good units. Tank Viking is a great combination, but using a tank that gets too close to a Cyclone's not what you need here from GuMiHo. What GuMiHo doesn't know is that there's a 4th CC on location. He might have seen the 4th CC building. No, he didn't. He didn't get anywhere close, did he? He has no idea. GuMiHo is going to tap out. Not much hope. Even less hope than I think he realized. GG's. That was one of the quicker mech games I've ever seen. Mech versus mech ending before 9 minutes. All right, welcome back, guys. We got game 2, Maru versus GuMiHo. I've cut out a long, elaborate process of me in the chat trying to figure out the brackets here, but we've finally come to a conclusion. I totally understand the GSL brackets now. Shin versus Trigger was a losers bracket, losers side of a double elimination bracket where only one person got through. So that was everything on the line, and Shin did not make it to GSL. Trigger did. This is the winner's bracket. And in the winner's bracket, if you make top 4, you win. So these guys are just playing to advance farther into GSL. So I gave some of you a panic attack when I said that either Maru or GuMiHo will make it. That's a lie. I'm sorry. I was testing your heart. Both of these guys have already made it. The question then is, will Maru get an advanced placement to the second stage, or will GuMiHo? And it's 12 players in GSL. So not a lot. But if you do win here, whoever wins in this best of 3 will avoid the first round matchup. So good news, you can once again cheer for both of them. GuMiHo is cheesing. He kind of got bodied in the last game. Maru got away with a 3cc. For all that was really necessary to say you got away with it, there was no delay on it. Excuse me. And the 4th base was even on the way. And actually completed when GuMiHo tried his attack to punish Maru, and it failed miserably because Maru had double the Ravens. Sorry. Continuing with the mass amount of confusion. Maru did win game 1, as I was trying to explain. GuMiHo lost in a rather one-sided fashion, now tries to immediately flip the script by going for 2 racks, one which Maru was able to scout because he bothered SCV scouting, perhaps figuring, yeah, you would try and do this after such a loss, and he was able to defend rather perfectly. He was going for a 1 racks expand, so he did have to interrupt his own plans to defend, but he made sure there was no way he was going to lose to a 2 racks, 2 bunkers against this. That's pretty serious defense. Command center is now on the way. 3 Reapers get a little bit of a delay on it, and that's certainly something. It's getting to be a significant delay, I would say. Is he going to get a cancel? Is he going to get canceled? Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, that's actually very good. Not a delay. More than a delay. 300 minerals saved, 100 lost. For having the audacity to plant a command center down and the Reapers could touch it. Yeah. Because it's around, it's 12 players, but then that means that there are 4 players who are kind of like in a round of 16, but like a very large... Yes. They're playing to get into the round of 8. Whoever wins this gets into the round of 8. Whoever loses this has to play out the round of 12. Yeah. Clear as mud, exactly. 2 racks was not going to be successful until I think that command center cancel. 4 Reapers still alive means that there's a backstab opportunity as well, so Maru is not going to get a chance for any revenge. GuMiHo can safely plant his CC on location, and he is getting his own 3rd CC. A little bit slower than Maru's. A little bit slower. GuMiHo got his Reapers. He got that 2nd barracks, which might not be useful at all. He's going to go mech again. And so he just kind of take the L on the 3rd CC, but he takes a W on the much faster natural because it's already on location. And he is ahead by 2 workers. So fair game. The interference matrix is coming out from GuMiHo this time around. He didn't bother with it last game. I do think that was on purpose. I don't think that was a mistake. Sometimes you would assume interference matrix in both sides of the Terran all the time, every day in TVT. And I think I'd still prefer it. I think I still would think interference matrix is very worth it. Your Ravens need the tech lab. The upgrade is 50-50. It's not very expensive. It's not very long either. But there is a decision to be made. Do you want it or don't you? And with the power of the auto turrets really being showcased in that last game, you could see why interference matrix maybe isn't really worth it. Funnily enough, Maru had auto turrets for days. That's the only thing he used, but he didn't use Interference Matrix, the thing that he actually bothered upgrading. He is going to get it in this game as well by the looks of things, although much later than his opponents, but already up to 2 Ravens. He is going to go to 3. Barracks coming down for both players, by the way. GuMiHo did add a Tech Lab to his Barracks and did not swap it, so he is going Marine Tank as well as Maru. GuMiHo is just more likely than other Terran players to go mech in any matchup. He doesn't... I mean, he does have some...
received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
I'm not going to say health problems. It's not health problems. He doesn't have health problems. But he has been seen as a slower Terran than a lot of other Korean Terrans for his career. I don't think it's inaccurate. I think for the most part he is a bit slower. He has had his really good days, though, where he's just as fast. And he's still overall fast. But I think when you compare him to a Maru who doesn't have a shoulder injury, and yeah, he's going to be slower. So that has sometimes been one of the reasons it's been like, oh, maybe that's why he's throwing out mech in something, in some TVZ or TVT. But for Maru, I think a big reason why he would go mech is because it is easier on your wrists and shoulders. And he absolutely has a shoulder injury. But it seems like he really didn't want to play bio versus a mech player, or he didn't find it to be an acceptable composition for how fast he was going to have to defend. But it also could have been that he did not want to play bio versus mech. Bio versus bio, I feel like is actually just easier than bio versus mech. Like both bios being the type of composition where you need to zip all over the place is basically all matchups. If you go bio, you're trying to drop and multi-harass and attack from different locations and spread your concave and do all the very fancy things. But I do feel like mech versus mech is easiest as far as the APM necessity. Bio versus mech is the most annoying. And bio versus bio, well, that's just classic TPC. If you're trying to multitask and the other guy's trying to multitask, hopefully you're just the better multitasker. Generally, Maru would be seen as being the better multitasker, but I don't know. Times have certainly changed. GuMiHo has a reliable record against Maru over the last couple of years. Some of that is because of openers. You know, it's more about that early game or mid-game tank push than it is about these super wide-scale, maxed-out battles of positioning. But some of it's not. Some of it is just GuMiHo playing a better overall TVT than Maru. 4CC on location for GuMiHo. He's just feeling apparently very confident. Maru is playing mostly defensive. He does send out a squad of Marines. A little supply depot scout as well. Marine scouts or whatever that was. Cyclone. Does see the army on the left side. And that's just a good place to see it. I mean, it's not close to Maru's third, but his own army gets scouted. GuMiHo also sending out these Marines, dotting the map, make sure it doesn't get surprised. All of them have a pretty healthy tank count, too, so being able to set those up means you shouldn't be overwhelmed. Maru could drop on the tanks, of course. But that's not going to happen now. Mech vs. Bio is pretty easy. It's, you know, both have their challenges. But that's why I was trying to specify on, like, the APM and the actual hand movement, I guess. Hey, State. Pig General, thank you for the 27 months. Maru is going to go for the double starport. This makes a lot of sense, though. There has been an attack. No one's really tried to pry open a weakness that they've seen, because I guess there hasn't been a weakness, but no one's really tried their damnedest to. They've not been picking up a bunch of medevacs and doom dropping, right? We're at a pretty stable 4-base versus 4-base scenario. Maru was already building Vikings. He did not go for many medevacs. Didn't see the necessity of it. Wasn't being particularly aggressive, and if you had to be very defensive, if he was being attacked, the medevacs are helpful, but you could argue the Vikings are even better. Really kind of depends on the style of play. You know, an 8-Rax obviously is going to need a lot of medevacs because it's just zipping every which way. But you're going to stay at home anyway. Viking count that builds into the inevitable air dominance war that is late game TVT. GuMiHo, he has gone for an 8-Rax. Little supply block too. But he has gone for an 8-Rax. So he does need the medevac count. He also needs to find damage. He needs to find Maru weak someplace. And that is extraordinarily difficult to do. Maru is one of the best at this style. He also has a lot of experience against the 8 racks because he faces Byun. That's what Byun does to him every time. Maybe not the best fight right there. Good concave from GuMiHo with the medevac healing. Not enough tanks helping those Marines on the front line, but the point was more so just to hold the line than it was to win the battle, and Maru does hold the line. Kills all the medevacs as well, guarantee the Vikings, but now leaving this right side open. Tanks interference matrix. Planetary will help out against the Marines, but the tanks are now encroaching. Not only on the 4th base, but they're also covering the choke point. So that's very... I would say it's unfortunate news for Maru, but he also has 5 Ravens, so... Just interference matrix for tanks. What's the problem? And that's currently what's happening, but for both sides. And Maru's tanks aren't covered by nearly as many Marines. Auto turrets do try and come down to help, and they do. That's exactly what they do. They barely make it so that Maru can hold on his 4th base. That is, Ravens, he doesn't have 20 Ravens. He has 10 Ravens. That's more realistic. He doesn't have 10 Ravens. It's not going to be an endless supply of energy. And right now, he is rather desperate. He does not have a very strong stand and fight army. He is dependent on those spellcasters. The Vikings will always shoo away the medevacs and guarantee his vision on his opponent's tanks. But GuMiHo does have 5 bases, probably extra orbitals coming through too, so he'll have plenty of scans. And he does have the Marines. The concaves have been good. The drops have potential. Vikings will not be protecting the 3rd or the main. There's 4 missile turrets though, so I don't know about that one. GuMiHo could drop on this 3rd for sure. Tanks reposition off to the very far side, try and catch that planetary. It doesn't really work out, though, and Maru was rallying his Marines over to this location, so he's prepared for it. That's GuMiHo's sign to just boost on in. One medevac gets taken down with very little unloaded, but still about, 12, 14 Marines, something like that in the main base. That is going to be able to kill at least a handful of SCVs, take down the missile turrets, too, and maybe open up an opportunity for a second drop. I mean, you're not going to escape, of course. Vikings, duh. But it might open up the opportunity for a second drop. Maybe Maru forgets to rebuild those missile turrets or can't afford it. He's not exactly swimming in cash. GuMiHo has had this gold for some time. 5th base has been up and running for a while, whereas Maru, 3 base, 4th base has not had saturation. Or 5th, sorry, excuse me. 5th has not had saturation. That is on the gold. 3rd CC is going to go down. Yikes. It is. 3-3 Marines versus 2-2, by the way. I forgot to notice that. The fight on this side last was not an upgrade difference, but the other fights since then have been a significant upgrade difference. Another reason why Maru is so dependent on his spellcasters. He was very late to 3-3, but he had to make the choice. And this might have been the right one. He is back up to 9 Ravens at this point. We can absolutely interference matrix and auto turret. Liberator is now making an appearance. Nothing that GuMiHo can really do about that unless he wants to sack his Marines on the Liberators. Ghost Academy is on the way. Hello? Hello? I am far more excited about the EMP than I am about the nuke. I hope there's both. But I think an EMP could be brilliant. I'd be so happy if he did. Perfect time when the medevacs army's out of position and the missile turrets are not ready yet. That's also 5 medevacs instead of just 3. Tank does unload, does not siege up particularly quickly. And it does look like Maru will be able to respond. But then at the attack at the 4th base, that's the now big problem. 7 tanks! He's got so many tanks that are not in position. What happened there? I don't know what happened. They are totally out of position to help. Now they're being dropped on. I guess that's why he kept them so far back. He knew that if he left them out in the open, they'd be dropped on anyway. Oh, no. Everything's going to shit. Maru loses his 3rd. His replacement 3rd, by the way. He's already used up 1 orbital. Now it's 2. Loses his 4th. Now he's back down to 3 bases. His main and natural are mining out. The gold will mine out very, very quickly. GuMiHo still holds on to a 50 supply lead. And the Ravens, they need support. You can't just have a Raven army. The Marines will slaughter it. So, does Maru have enough support? He is going for truly an all-in at this point. It is do or die. 60 supply difference. About 20 of that in army, though. GuMiHo had so many more SCVs after slaughtering all of Maru's. But GuMiHo really has a strong army. 7 tanks, 75 Marines. Yes, only 2 medevacs, but it's going to be all about the trigger pull anyway. It's going to be the first 10 seconds, 5 seconds even of a fight. Does he get a surround? Does he get a good concave? Does he jump on top of the tanks? Or do auto turrets mess him up? Another command center does go down this time on the side of GuMiHo, but he has extra. GuMiHo not just defending, sends a squad of Marines over across the map, ensuring that Maru really is truly all in. Tanks going down as well. Another fresh command center. Looks like it's going to be gone, and Maru only taking down the 5th so far of his opponent. Auto turrets helping out, though. Also killing some of the tanks of GuMiHo. I mean, Maru does have an army. When it's all together, it is very powerful. And it is currently all together, making sure to siege hop forward. Be very careful about this. But GuMiHo has taken not just a squad of Marines, but really his entire army. And he is going to go for the base raid. This is straight up base race potential. He does not need to defeat Maru's army. He just needs to stall for time at home. Otherwise, go for the throat. Maru needs to think about lifting his buildings at this point just to survive. He's not going to lift his buildings and use them for the Sim City. I know he had 2 Ravens. He still does. I don't know where he's hiding them, though. Oh, over here. He could bring them to the front. I think he forgot about them, though. Factories being rebuilt as he recognizes tanks are what he needs right now. It is GuMiHo, by the way. Maru cannot rebuild. He does not have the cash. Only down to 2 SCVs. He is getting broken in his main despite the tank in SimCity. He did lift his buildings. They could float. But Maru has a much bigger task of killing all of GuMiHo's buildings. GuMiHo has been mining. He's been rebuilding. He's been expanding. He's been going all over the map. And I think Maru knows deep in his soul that he has lost this one. There's always a chance when you don't recognize your opponent's additional bases or additional production being built, then hell yeah, you think you have a chance. But GuMiHo has already produced a lot, and he is 4,000 mineral bank, pretty good there. Yeah, he might get supply block, that is true. Maru kind of can't just stay here and kill a bunch of supply depots, though. He needs to kill. He knows there's a 3rd. He knows there's a 4th, so he knows he needs to kill that. But GuMiHo has gotten some very good production up, emphasizing the tanks and Vikings. Good thing to do at this point. He might have won if he had just rebuilt barracks too, but I think that would have been more difficult. Although, okay, I like the missile turrets. I was gonna say, like, you don't want to be building Vikings into an established Viking army, so that's the only thing I'm concerned about. Maru could have camped the starports. But not with the missile turrets. The missile turrets will buy that extra time. The tanks will have to siege up to kill it. Oh, but he supply blocked! Oh god, no! 6 Vikings to 7. But then 7 Ravens to 2. GuMiHo did remember his Ravens. He brought them to the middle of the map. I don't know what his plan is with that one. GuMiHo has also used up his entire bank. The tanks are not sieged. Maru loses his Marines on the front. GuMiHo is not going to go through the choke to try and stop this. The Ravens from behind, though! That's what he was planning. The interference matrix do come down. Only 1 tank was firing there, but it was a fairly effective tank. God damn. Maru does lose the majority of his Marines on the front, but only 1 tank thus far. GuMiHo not quite able to break him. GuMiHo, probably full of confidence like I was earlier on, is now like, wait a second, could I lose this? And the answer is apparently no. He cannot lose it. Maru decides to tap out there as perhaps he saw... He didn't actually even see this base, but he did see this base. The Vikings are starting to tear down his last buildings. And he would have lost in a straight-up base race with those Vikings prioritizing it, I guess. You had to spend so much time cleaning everything up. Time was certainly on GuMiHo's side, but... In the final game here of what is a seeding match... Both players have already made it into GSL Season 1. One player will advance to the round of 8, basically, and then the other one will have to play out the round of 16 bracket. Although there aren't 16 players this time around in GSL, are there? So that's always crazy. Anyway, top right Maru, bottom left GuMiHo. Maru did send out an SCV. In fact, he sent out 2. Maru is going to show GuMiHo how the 2 racks is done, I suppose. Although GuMiHo did get victory. He got a canceled command center. That's pretty good. Ideally for Maru, he just straight up wins with this, though. GuMiHo, no SCV scout. He's going to go for a factory expand, though, so you know, you'd be guaranteed to win almost against the 2 racks anyway if you SCV scouted factory expand. But just factory expanding without an SCV scout should keep you alive. This is not what Maru was exactly hoping for. His Reaper micro could still outshine GuMiHo's micro. And it could still give him a huge lead. Time will tell. Maru trying to time the SCV so it looks like a totally normal SCV scout, thank you. Totally normal stuff here. Oh, you're not 2-raxing. Oh, that's such good news. GuMiHo will think nothing of it. Has no idea about what he's about to face. There are a couple of Reaper hop-up spots to the north, but no map is really terribly bad. Terribly abusive for Reapers nowadays, I would say. Although there is one TLMC map where I looked at it and I was like, wait a second. This is pretty good for Reapers and Blink Stalkers, but never mind about that. The point is, the Reapers can't hop up one spot and then instantly get to the other spot. You know, they can escape instantly. That's a good news, but you know, you can't go up here and then go all the way around and go up there. So pretty much a centralized defense location is what I'm talking about. And so GuMiHo, he won't give Maru a lot of time to outmaneuver him. GuMiHo is outgunned the double production of Maru, although the factory is now up and a Hellion is on the way. But he always had that central point of defense with faster reinforcements, technically still, and the SCV pull always possible if needed. But the Hellion is what you need really to stop this. Maru is not super dedicating to it anyway. He is building a factory back at home. It looks like... Oh, so Maru stopped chasing GuMiHo's Reaper. He wanted to find more damage on the offensive, which he is finding. 4 Reapers with even a tiny concave will take care of the Hellion. 2 Hellions now, however. Maru also losing mining time. He's just not losing all that many workers. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. GuMiHo. GuMiHo. Woo! I actually don't know how that didn't die. That one is dead. No! Gee! No! Oh my god! How did that die? What? Oh, the SCV body block was just in time. This feels like this should actually be game over. Oh my god, that actually could have easily been only 1 Hellion left over. 3rd Hellion did pop out, as the 2nd one was barely saved, but if he had 5 Reapers against 1 Hellion, that would have been so many more dead SCVs. Instead, he has 5 Reapers, 4 now, against 3 Hellions. I feel like I have to check exactly what happened. I think the body block was just barely in time for the 2nd one. But the first one, it looked like maybe his units were gonna shoot the Hellion, and then 1 Reaper was like, I got a grenade first, hold on, guys. Oh, that was so close to snowballing. That was absolutely razor thin. When the dust clears, it doesn't look that close, but that was absolutely close. Maru's Reapers do survive, so there's some silver lining there, but they were just so close to winning the game. That feels like... It still feels like a bummer for him. He does manage to get ahead by 2 workers, and the command centers are pretty close together. GuMiHo actually did go up full to a starport. Unfortunately, the Banshee was not worth it. A slight delay on the command center of his opponents, but did not kill the Cyclone. I mean, he did only go for 1 Banshee, no cloak, but I don't know if it was really worth it. Command center is coming down for both players, natural and 3rd. Very, very close. Maru, though, with that 2-worker lead, might get a little benefit going into the mid-game here. Maru did not change his ID. Vit is for Vitality, which is his team. Vitality bought the onside gaming crew. Most maps are abusable for Blink Stalkers, but not for Reapers. I don't know. When I think of abusable maps, I think of Heavy Rain. I don't think any map has really come close to being super abusable for Stalkers in years. I mean, some are better than others, of course. But I'm thinking, there's this map in TLMC that was in the Open Cup where this would not have been blocked. This wasn't blocked, the ramp was there, and there was this. And I thought that was a lot. And maybe it was even like this was open too. It was a lot. Okay, that's all I remember. I don't even remember the map name. And I was like, damn, this looks different than their maps. As far as the amount of protection the map makers have given against Blinks or Reaper hop-ups. Heavy Rain was in Heart of the Swarm, and it was a Heart of the Swarm Blink era, which was very abusive. Very oppressive. You killed an SCV with a grenade. Damn it, I missed some cool micro. I saw a Reaper jump up and instantly die, but I missed other stuff. My bad. I was talking about maps. Maru did use his Reapers and lose them, so they're gone. No more backstab opportunity. Wow, no, he just actually had more Reapers. Okay. Wow, he had a lot of Reapers. So now all 8 Reapers were dead. I did not math that out. I did not realize he made 8. 9 SCVs were killed, though, with those Reapers, but that's, you know, almost 1 SCV for 1 Reaper, not exactly ideal. And pretty late into the game. Still, Maru holds on to a slight worker lead. He is far, far ahead on the technology, but there is a very good reason for that. GuMiHo is not going for Stim and Combat Shields and 1-1. Maru's scouting Hellion does its job. It scouts an incoming attack. Scan ahead. Maru should have the defense. He's got a ramp. He's got a high ground. He's got Ravens. The Ravens. Interference matrix for both parties. GuMiHo's going to take advantage of his positioning. There's nothing that says Maru can pounce on him at this point, so of course, do a little razzle-dazzle, attack him in the natural, be annoying. But you know, eventually Maru will have enough units to actually threaten GuMiHo's offensive pressure, so yeah, you do need to skedaddle eventually. Maru does know it's mech. He has chosen, regardless, to go for bio. Like I was saying, the first game, it wasn't, I think, so much that he wanted not to go bio versus mech. It was just the time of which he knew an attack was incoming. It was far better to get the production of, let's say, 3 tanks out of the factories you build, rather than, let's say, 6 Marines or 3 Marauders, or you know, whatever equivalent it would be. It wouldn't be good as tanks, right? So I think that was just a decision based off the necessary defense, rather than his, you know, whether or not he likes playing bio versus mech or not. But this time around, not the same situation, so he is going to go bio versus mech. GuMiHo already producing those Vikings, typically has that air control. The bio player has those faster upgrades and usually more map control. That's currently not the case, but it will soon be the case. Maru will be out in the map. GuMiHo will be capable of handling run-bys, but ideally for him, he gets to that very strong 150-ish supply army, and then perhaps he will push out. Maru might do a little push of his own with bio. I mean, he is the bio player at this point in time. But TVT hardly ever goes into a long, epic, back-and-forth bio versus mech battle. It usually is, I'm bio for now, but really I want to be a starport player. Because it's just the better way to play. There's not really any argument against it. Unless you're able to get some significant damage, or you're able to really contain the mech player on 3 base, your best bet is to just go into those Vikings. Because even if you do contain them, that's still a better chance of winning the game is winning the air war than trying to, you know, rush headlong into a concrete block. Now, that is usually what you gotta do at least once. Just push through. And it looked actually pretty decent for Maru. He was able to get a good interference matrix on one of these tanks, but there was a depth to the defense that Maru could not overcome. Nice positioning there from GuMiHo. Maru's still not adding on starports. This is not a game where he can be super greedy. GuMiHo can push out sub 150 if he thinks there's a chance, and he did just defend. There's not that much bio to stop him, and it is a very short... Wait, what the fuck? Okay, I never really realized until now how short it was, third base to third base on Ultra Love. Good lord. Those tanks got there in the blink of an eye. That is extremely dangerous. Maru maybe regretting even trying to break GuMiHo. Thinking, well, maybe I should just kept all my army alive and tried to stop him from moving out, but I mean, it's too late. He's gonna use that same army to go for a counter, which is a very good idea. Seems like GuMiHo is already aware of that possibility and has 2 tanks siege up in the main base. CC doesn't take a lot of damage. Third could be a problem, but the army actually pulled back. So Maru is going to be able to escape with maybe a couple of units. He does have more army that was waiting for maybe if the attack had continued. But he lost that third CC mining for a very long time, and damn, he actually almost lost the third CC. Thankfully doesn't, but that's a lot of money in repair. 4th CC is on location, that's great, but look at the supplies. If this was the opposite supply, I would still be giving, you know, the mech player a pretty damn good chance, but this is not. This is the mech player 40 supply above the bio. And Maru's got nothing up his sleeve here. He's got no air control. He's got no... I don't even know that's really all you can do. If he doesn't have the bio, then you better have the air control, and he doesn't have either one. He has a desperate base race in mind, and he could go for the 4th base snipe, but the 4th base is... It's not the most important thing. He's got to go for the heart, and if he tries to go into the main base, he will be stopped. That's what he's got to try and do, and he will be stopped. There's nothing else to even try. GuMiHo was all over this one. Damn. Fortunately, again, both players are already in GSL. It's just that GuMiHo once again proves, for some reason, he is one of the better TV Marus out there. There's just always something about him. And he will advance directly to the round of 8. All right. Thankfully, we got that square before the end of the broadcast here. GG's GuMiHo.